We're going to talk a little bit about this game. It's called the Swords of Ditto, for those that just jumped in right now to the stream. And I think it's time to talk about our first impressions of how we feel about this game and what we think so far about it. So, do you know who made this game?
This game is developed by 1 Bit Beyond.
1 Bit Beyond.
1 Bit Beyond is the developer and is published by Devolver Digital, who are the same guys who publish Cult of the Lamb and other great titles. So but it was actually developed by a company called 1 Bit Beyond.
Okay.
Which is actually weird. I thought it would be Massive Monster. I thought originally it was Massive Monster because it plays very similarly to Cult of the Lamb.
Gotcha.
And in a lot of ways it kind of reminds me of it with like the roguelike elements and of course, you know, the Zelda-esque stuff that we've seen so far is very, the overhead style is very Link's Awakening style. And I don't know, like this is actually my first time experiencing it with 2 players. And I think that playing it with 2 players actually makes this game way, way, way more fun. Because I played this game alone and I had a pretty good time with it. You know, I thought it was pretty cool. But now playing it with another player, I'm like, yeah, you could tell this game was more designed to be a multiplayer experience. And I think it's pretty dope. Like the humor is very funny. Like the lines and the dialogue is very funny. The gameplay is simple, yet can get more complicated the more you look at it. And the whole concept behind like the kid's adventure and the dream and the toys, and I think it really makes it for a very interesting game.
So what differences did you notice? Because I'm jumping in, like just starting to play it with you as, you know, multiplayer, but you obviously have played it solo on your own. So what are the things you've noticed that are different?
Well, like I mentioned before, this game is randomly generated. So like every time you play, the whole layout of the world changes every single time.
Gotcha.
So no matter how many times you play it, whether solo or multiplayer, it'll never be the same exact experience every time, which adds to the replayability. But what I've noticed in 2-player mode is one, that it updates the boss fights apparently.
Gotcha.
And adds a second boss, so you have, you know, each player has to fight a boss. It seems to be the puzzles seem to get a little more intricate, because the puzzles that we did seem to require having 2 people, because you had to pull the thing while I move, and then I pull the thing and you move, and that way it kind of reminds me of like It Takes Two a little bit.
Yes.
Where you have to like work together to solve puzzles.
Yeah.
And that I did not experience in the 1 player. So I guess when you're playing with 2 players, they kind of change the dungeons.
Gotcha.
So that they, you know, have a 2-player aspect to them. So that was different as well.
Okay.
And overall, I just think it was more fun to play with somebody else.
Yeah, it definitely gave me those Cult of the Lamb vibes, because I guess it's safe to say that it's like your action RPG, but then it also is a roguelite.
Oh, yeah.
Because it has that randomizer. And I think the way they included it within the narrative is very a very genius way of just introducing different mechanics and elements of gameplay into a story. Because you're like, oh, you know, if you died, you had to wait 100 years and it resets. But then again, that's how roguelike games are too. So it's just a very smart way, a very clever way of, you know, introducing it within the narrative. And I really do like that when you're playing with another player, like you just said, like it seems like everything was well thought. It's not like an afterthought. They're like, no, you know, we gotta tweak our puzzles, we gotta tweak the bosses, because now we found out that she has a sidekick, she has a guardian, you know, so it's not just one villain, now there's 2 of them. So it's very suitable for the type of mode that we're playing right now.
Yeah, I think that was really cool. Like when that really caught me off guard when I saw it too, because I fought some of the bosses in the game, and that was the first time I've ever seen it use 2 players at the same time. And the fact that they were called the Fallen Swords, like that was really cool. It's like basically implying that you're fighting like past owners of the sword. So does that mean Mormo at one point was a sword at 2? Like now we're getting into lore, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
true.
Now like that's another cool thing about the game, is that it doesn't throw the lore in your face.
Yeah.
But if you like look a little deeper, you can see that there's like some lore elements. So like the sword returns every 100 years and has to fight the witch. But then when we fought her, she had a sword.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, was she like an X sword? And like, is there a reason why she don't want the sword thing to exist anymore, because like you remember the first time we played, she just immediately killed us.
Yes.
She's like, I just don't want no parts of this. Die. And so like, what's the like? So like, even though the lore is not like this is forcing you into it, it also gives you the option of, if you want to dive deep into it, you can look into, oh, I wonder why this is this way and this is that way, or you could just run around and play and have fun. And I love how the tutorial was like very clean and short. Like,
yes.
Once you get through, and it makes it very clear when it's over. He was like, all right, guys, I'm not hand holding anymore. You guys just go and do your thing, and it lets you go. So and a lot of, once again, it reminds me of the original Legend of Zelda, where it's like, once you get past the opening sequence, it's like, just, all right.
You can just free roam
Just
to
free
your heart
roam.
content.
And it'll even give you warnings if you go somewhere that you say, hey, the monsters here are a little strong. You might want to be careful. You know, I suggest you come back later, but you can't go if you want to. So we could have just kept going if we wanted to, but we decided to listen. So, like, I thought that was really cool too, that it holds your hand, but not too much.
Yeah.
It's a good balance of, hey.
Because even in relax mode, it's still, like, you still feel like that tad bit of difficulty where we just automatically died and we're like, oh, we have to, you know, re-strategize, come up with a plan so we can take down, for example, you know, this boss fight and be able to succeed, you know, within the dungeon. Also, another thing I wanted to point out that I really do appreciate within video games is how customizable your experience can be. So, like, even though we share the same inventory, we can decide, you know, who wants to be the more offense, who's good at offense, or who's more in, you know, being in the, you know, more in the defensive side. And you can, like, choose and tweak what you want to use, what you don't want to use, and play in however way you see fit. You know, it's more like appropriate towards your gameplay style.
Oh, yeah.
So I really do like that. And I feel like you said, it can be as easy but as difficult as you want it to be, because within the customization options, you know, you can choose what stickers you want to use, you can choose like what toys you want to use, and I mean, we can go on and on.
The battle, like I said, once again, it reminds me of Call to the Lamb, where the combat system is not a lot to it. You got your sword swings and your roll, but it can get really intense in these fights. And then another thing that I didn't know is that you can actually get stickers that give you new moves. Mm-hmm. Like, I had no idea about this spin attack thing that they gave us. Like, that's really cool that certain stickers can give you new moves. So now we have a whole new attacking move that we can utilize now, which is really cool.
So would we recommend this, is the question?
Definitely. I would definitely say play it with somebody. I've played it both single player and now I've played it multiplayer, and I definitely say the fun is definitely more so in the multiplayer aspect. So as far as the whole point of this stream being a power couple stream and, you know, games to play with your significant other or friends or family, definitely. This is definitely a game that you want to sit down and play with somebody. So I think for the first run of this, I think we found a pretty good game.
Yeah, and I really I completely agree. I think it's a great game, a great starter to play with your significant other, family members, or friends. It's easy to dive into, and like you said, you know, the second player can pretty much resume or drop off at any time, and so you can continue your voyage solo, or you can just, you know, dedicate this game specifically for each time when you're gonna, you know, play with someone else. So I just like how versatile and flexible it is when it comes to options within the video games.